Hello Gear Sluts, I'm Klaus from Bitwig, and I want to show you the big thing in version 3, the grid. That's our creative modular synthesis environment, and I'm gonna help you get in. So, we have two different grid devices, the FX grid and the poly grid. FX for creating effects and poly for creating any polyphonic but also monophonic sounds. So when you start out, you're going to have an oscillator which is pre-mapped to an envelope going to the audio output. There's a super easy patch. I hit the keyboard, something happens. One reason why this is that we use this pre-chords mechanism to automatically route the gate signal from the device to the envelope, and the same thing for the pitch. If I turn it off, it no longer tracks. So this makes it super easy. Like this gets rid of a lot of cables that you otherwise would have. So it makes the patch much more manageable to use in the long term. So I'm going to show some other examples of how you would create a simple patch. Like I like phase modulation, so I'm going to start with a sine, just clean sine. Now I'm going to add another sine, drop it onto the phase port. Purple is our color that we use to show phase, so I can now just control the phase modulation amount from that, and I'm going to take a different partial. So maybe this is a nice sound, like a nice timbre, but I want to make it evolve over time. So I'm just going to drop in an AD envelope on top of it. Now that it inserted itself into the chain, and I really simply just create this sound here. Of course, another thing you have in Bitwig everywhere is these modulation sources. So they exist here as well on the envelopes. I can now also take this envelope signal and use it somewhere else. There, for example. You also have this envelope signal as an output if you want to create something complicated and just map it anywhere else. You always have this ability to do this, because you might notice for our modules, they don't have imports for every parameter, like skew and fold in this case. It doesn't have a dedicated import, but this like opt-out card with a modulator in out allows for you to reach any kind of parameter anyway, but it means that the panels doesn't have to be so busy, because like ease of use and clearness has really been a key important thing for us when we built the system. We want it to be easy and fun to create. It shouldn't be like limited by trying to recreate what's available in analog. This is something else. It's modular, but it's more for sound design than building devices as such. It's supposed to be something you can do when you're creating a song. It shouldn't be something where you go in there and stay there, but you should actually be able to finish your song after doing it. So there's a lot of different other benefits. We have 147 modules at this point. You have a bunch of different I/O modules, including for external CV signals, audio side chaining. You have different displays. I can hook up an oscilloscope if I want to see how the signal looks. I get an easy, nice overview. If I click any kind of module, I will see here in the inspector different scopes from it. So it makes it easier for me to understand how this concept works. If I press F1, I get a help for each module, which is actually interactive, so I can interact with the help and at the same time read about it. And maybe for some things, I might not realize that, okay, there has an attack curve, but it's also available up here, and I maybe didn't make that connection if I didn't see it in the help. And the grid itself, inside it's 4 times oversampled, so you have a lot of sonic bandwidth to play with without getting aliasing, so it's going to sound really nice. But all signal routings are also in stereo, so you can, I think we hooked up mono to the output, so you will not be able to hear it, but you could, for example, modulate a filter frequency separately for the left and right channels. Of course, it's called polygrid. Right now we only played 1 note, but if I increase the number of voices, it now becomes polyphonic. And I can play a chord with it. And everything else you would expect, like from Bitwig modulations, the modulators work the same way inside this environment, all remote controls works the same way. So you have all these benefits, and they're all still there. it's just even deeper now. So,
Okay, thank you very much.
thank you.